Cirklon Aux Event tutorial series as I read through the manual and try to figure things out by myself, and if I can't, then I redo the video later, which is what's happening today. Well, also because today we'll be discussing the aux events for knob grab and knob mask, which utilize the A and B knobs, and when I filmed this last, I did not have those knobs in frame, so all for the best. It was a struggle, that one. But yeah, I have a better grasp on how those events work now, and we'll go through it hopefully relatively quickly. Let's find the relevant part of the manual. I'm pairing the Cirklon. I'm sequencing the Digitone. The Digitone II. Which I really like multi-timbral synths with the Cirklon because you have so much flexibility. You can sequence all 16 tracks of the Digitone. Obviously the Elektron sequencer is also incredibly flexible and quick to use, but this is not a tutorial on that, so. Alright, so we're skipping over the accumulator section in the manual. I'm going to do that as probably its own multi-part series. I don't know how to use any of those yet, and I don't necessarily, these exist, even though they come in after that section in the manual, they're not directly related. Although I do think you can mask auxiliary events. Neither here nor there. Alright, the events in the knob mask group use the current position of the front panel knobs A and B. So that's these two right here. Or the track control values knob 1 and knob 2. So when I previously filmed this video, I did not know what those knobs were. You can see I have one set up here. These are just knobs that you can create in your instrument definition. So you have the option of doing this aux event either with the A and B, the like smooth encoders, or this stepped encoder. That's part of your instrument definition. I'm assuming it's saved in the instrument definition. To be honest, I haven't explored track values much. I don't have the foresight to set up really complex instrument definitions, but I can see why that would be useful. The knob source for each event is selected at the same time as you assign the event to an aux. Actually, so finishing this, to control masking of gate, tie, the aux statuses, and accumulator defeat. So we'll ignore the accumulator piece of this today. For each status value that can be masked, there are 3 events. The first deactivates the status unless the knob value is greater than the aux. The second is like a similar value plus minus 3, and the third is it deactivates it if the knob value is less than the aux value. So you can see we have a bunch of events here. But there's basically just 3 types, and then they apply to different things. So we can apply it to a gate, a tie, or aux B, C, and D. And then the accumulator ones as well, which I'll do a separate video on once I get to the accumulator section. So let's start with the gate, since that's pretty easy to explain. Okay, so getting into my pattern, I already have aux C set to mask gate if the value is greater than N. I'm not sure if K is for, let's check the manual. So K the kn variable, oh, k is for knob. So the knob value is greater than the value that we set on the aux event on each step. And so when you select it, you can select either the instrument definite, the track knob 1 or 2, or A and B. And I'm just going to turn them all on. And set them all to 50, so I believe it's 0 through 127, but about halfway. Or we'll do it at 60 to get it a little closer. So now when I move the A knob less than halfway, it should disable the gates because we have this flipped on for every step. Cool. And then just to finish out the gate ones, the knob value similar, basically plus minus 3 to the aux step value. So this will only work if the knob is about halfway because we have it set to 60. And then the last version is just the reverse. So when the knob value is greater than the value we have set on the aux event, it turns off the gate. What I want to do is go back to the similar, like the knob, the mask gate similar value event. And switch this to be a slope. So now I'm just kind of like slowly moving the encoder. Maybe this wasn't as interesting as I anticipated, but let's do it with the greater than command. All right. I feel like combining that with other aux events is where it gets interesting, but in the spirit of keeping this one relatively concise, let's keep going. Let's apply it to ties. I've mentioned this in previous videos. I don't really know how to set up my patches on my synths to accept ties. As far as I understand, like, so you can see I actually set a couple up on here. Seems like the envelope doesn't re-trigger, so if I turn them off, you can hear the envelope re-trigger on every note. Whereas if I turn the tie on, it doesn't re-trigger. Well, hopefully that's at least a somewhat obvious effect now. Okay, so basically when the knob A has a value of less than 50, you can hear that the tie is actually disabled. And when I switch it to any value above 50, the tie states are adhered to. And then same things apply for, it's the same, like there's less than, greater than, or equal to, or nearly equivalent to. Okay, let's set up something on aux D. aux D we have a couple of repeats happening. Lost in the repetition. Okay, so we have this semi-obvious sort of ratcheting effect. I believe I've already filmed that video, but I think it comes after in the series in the manual, so we may have not gotten there together yet. But essentially just like a quick ratchet with a note offset, so it's increasing step 13 by 7 semitones, and step 2, double adding a ratchet, 5 semitones. And now we have it masking that event using that same value of 50. So below 50, you can't hear it, and above 50, you can. And you can do this with aux B, aux C, aux D, same functionality. I'm still wrapping my head around the order of things, but I believe aux events can only apply to ones below, which is why you wouldn't see aux A on here, because you can't mask aux A. Because you can't mask events above. That is my current operating understanding. Great. I think that's all we'll discuss for the mask events. Knob masks. Let's move to knob grab. Okay, these events take the current value from either knob value and use it to overwrite the pattern values. The knobs for these events are not automatically assigned. The aux value is used to select from front panel knobs A and B, or track control values knob 1 or 2, so a different knob source can be assigned on different steps. Oh, that's interesting. So like the aux value is the knob that you're using. So right now we have all of them set to B, but we could actually set well, we now have them all set to A, but we could have, so now I have every other one set to knob B. So basically the odd steps are set to knob A and the even steps are set to knob B, and that is to modify velocity. So that's super cool. And then relatively self-explanatory, velocity is set to the value that each knob is set to. Let's try length. I don't really know how this interacts with the patch that I've set up, but we can obviously hear the impact. Maybe if I make this polyphonic, it will be more obvious. it's changing the length value. Again, interacting kind of weird with my patch. I don't quite know what's going on the Digitone, but that's okay. Oh, this will be cool. Now we can modify some aux values. So we have this ratchet, this repeat event on aux-d, and we will replace that value. Really obvious. I have the repeat event triggered. I'm sending it to aux-c instead of aux-d. Okay, so this is changing the offset of each ratcheted note. It's interesting. I believe the values are between 0 and 127. So we need to use another aux event to offset it if we want to go negative. And I think we can use this add n. So my goal is to offset and here is the issue where, so I'm trying to offset aux-d to be minus 40 so that the value of b isn't just an iteration of positive steps basically. But because aux-b is prior to d, I can't actually affect it. I think that's what's going on. So or maybe I'm gonna try swapping these two, because it's possible that C is actually, because that should be the correct way, but it's possible that the value of C is overriding the offset. Something is happening. Well, it's not working as I expected to. It's possible that an add n to xd is something completely different then. Let's see if we can find it. lost in the proverbial sauce. I think I'll just abandon ship on trying to figure this piece out. Or here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try to build this out using the more like custom methods. Bear with me a moment. Okay, I can't tell if this is working. What I'm attempting to do, I'll leave this all in. What I'm attempting to do is, there's these custom repeat events that we'll get into in a later video. This aux event is saying that each step should basically ratchet twice or once, so there's 2 notes per step length. Aux D has a value of 0, but that's what I'm modifying with knob B, and that's basically the step offset. So now it's at 0. If I change that to 7, then each ratchet note is 7 semitones above the initial note. So now we're back at that state where B having a value of 0 means there's no offset, but we can only go positive. And then what I'm trying to do is introduce a negative offset so that B actually equals, or the default state of aux D is 0. It's possible that this needs to actually be applied to, because it's really like the value of knob B that I want to be offset by a negative amount. I'm not sure if that's possible, but let's just call it there for now. As you can see, these events get very complicated, and it takes a little bit to wrap your head around how it all works. Anyway, thanks for joining. Hopefully that wasn't too all over the place, but these are my fun, unedited, nearly somewhat stream of consciousness astral projections into YouTube. Thanks.